Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Kemetic Ascension for March 8th, 2026. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope all of you are doing well. Come on in. Join us. Ankh and Ma'at. Looking forward to seeing you all today. Ankh and Ma'at. Hoping that you are doing well. Hoping that your winter is coming to an end. It looks like in New York City it is. Ankh and Ma'at. It's wonderful to see you all. I see folks still entering. It is wonderful to see you. I hope all is well. Ankh and Ma'at. We're going to start in just a moment. And once again, I'm not in my priesthood whites. I came out here still establishing the space in Harlem again. Seems like I've moved at least 3 times in the last 6 months. I still have the house in Queens, taking over my family's house, but also we're getting ready. I'm going to be spending a lot more time in Harlem again at this new co-op space that I was able to acquire. So Ankh and Ma'at, I'm so glad that you are here. For those of you who have entered, you know the drill. We would like for you to begin by telling us where in the world you are and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. Please let us know. Please let us know. We would love to see you. Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at. I'm seeing folks coming in. Ankh and Ma'at to Sakina Ra, one of our full members, very active member. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at to the Jati of Phoenix, here as Tehuti Forever, also known as William Humphrey. Ankh and Ma'at to you, one of our full, very active members with a role in the shrine, a defined role in the shrine. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at to Tianis Tillman. Peace to you as well. Ankh and Ma'at to Glow Life, and Ankh and Ma'at to Juhudi Ma'at Ra Hotep, our member, our only member in Canada, very active member. Ankh and Ma'at to you. It's good to see you there. Ankh and Ma'at to Mediaut TV. I'm sure I'm messing Medout TV. Medioutit TV. I know I messed that up. You are here regularly. I have no idea whether I'm pronouncing it correctly. Ankh and Ma'at to you from Paris, France. He is the person furthest away so far. Tiana Stillman says you should do one on Montu. He was a priest as well. Montu was actually a deity. He was one of the Neteru of Kemet, a deity usually considered a deity of war. I should do one on Montu. You are correct. I'll consider doing that soon. Ankh and Ma'at to Baron Germain. Ankh and Ma'at. He asked, will there be any shrine initiation this year? I believe so. We're talking about it now. We're talking about it now. And I see Send Tehuti Forever is saying it's been forever since you have shared your Cash App. You are correct. It is at $ Ma'at Shrine is our Cash App. As you have heard us say, we don't do this for money, but we need money to do it. So please, your donations will be put to the use of the shrine. They don't go to me, they go to the shrine. So please, we need your assistance. Ankh and Ma'at to send Jason Holmes from Lincoln, Nebraska. Ankh and Ma'at, one of our full members, my dear brother in Lincoln, Nebraska. Ankh and Ma'at. Ankh and Ma'at to Anthony Jones. Hotep, Hotep, Hotep. Ankh and Ma'at to Shen Ka, Shonuf from the DMV, one of our full and very active members. Sanet Shen Ka, how are you? Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at. Ankh and Ma'at to Gotham Guap. Gotham Guap, from Arkansas. Ankh and Ma'at to you. We see Universal Lighthouse, Ankh and Ma'at, coming to us from the DMV. Anthony Jones from Houston, Texas. Good to know. We see Sinette Cortia, who is under Tisha Starchild, Ankh and Ma'at, coming to us from the ATL. Ankh and Ma'at, one of our full members. Ankh and Ma'at to Sun God, coming to us from North Carolina. Ankh and Ma'at to Taseti, who is always here, going on 5 years. Ankh and Ma'at. Ankh and Ma'at to San Atan, coming to us from Chicago, from Shen Su Heru 22, one of our very active members. Ankh and Ma'at to that is Abut Seshat. Ankh and Ma'at to you. I hope all is well. I believe still coming to us from Connecticut, nearby. Ankh and Ma'at to you. One of the members, one of the priests of the Shrine of Ma'at, the priestesses. We don't always say, this is something that you might hear me say and get a little confused about. Clearly, when we say priest, we are not using that term as a gender-specific term. So you may actually hear me call female priests, and not just priestesses. Why do we do that? Because in many traditions, when you hear of a priestess, and this is not just in traditions, this has to do with, I think, the way that these three large modern traditions have used women, have rendered femininity. Usually femininity is considered something less than masculinity. And it's one of the reasons why I know I have been very sensitive, maybe too sensitive, about calling female priestesses, because some of you who have been, let me be clear, infected with those traditions may think that I'm saying something lesser about them than I am about myself as a priest of Ma'at, and that is not the case. So you might hear me call her a priestess or a priest, same thing in our tradition, because our tradition views women, the feminine principle, as equal or even sometimes primary. So that's very, very important. Ankh and Ma'at to Tree of Life, who says hi. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at to Volta, 8871. Ankh and Ma'at. Ankh and Ma'at to Black Magic Mike. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Coming just from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Wonderful. Oh, wow. There goes my fellow chief from Ghana, Kwame Ron. How are you, dear brother? What was that? He's in Cleveland. He's from Cleveland, Ohio. Fresh off a plane from Ghana. Oh, boy. You know, I am going to be trying to go to Ghana perhaps in August. It's about time for me to resume my international trips. It's been time, as all of you know who have been coming to Kemetic Ascension for a while now. The last 2 years have been quite a bit complicated in the personal life of your high priest for the Shrine of Ma'at. But it's time for me to start doing my international group trips again. And I was just about to do Kemet again. And then I'm going to refrain from saying something negative about him, just because that's not the energy I want to bring to this session. The President of the United States, it pains me to even say that, decided to go to war with Iran. I don't know how that would affect a trip. So I probably will just do Ghana this year. And it looks like Kwame Ron was supposed to come through JFK during the storm weekend. Oh, boy. Yeah, I know that was rough, right? You probably got rerouted to wherever you were. But we definitely I would have loved to see you. It's been a minute. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at. Ankh and Ma'at to Zep Tepi Slim. Talking about the Opet Festival. Yes. Ankh and Ma'at. Amir Fit Life. Ankh and Ma'at tuning in from New York. Where in New York? Ankh and Ma'at to Dr. Siba Ka. Yes, Siba Ka is one of our full active members. Ankh and Ma'at. In Panama? Are you visiting Panama? Or are you living in Panama? Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at to May Tubes, saying Ujahi. Ankh and Ma'at still in Los Angeles. Impending move to the southeast. Will be unseasonably warm here. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be. I see Abu Sashat says all is well. All is well. It's good to see you there. If you are coming back to New York, let me know. My life is still complex, but slowing down a little bit, I think. So hopefully we'll be able to link up, because I haven't seen you in such a long time. We've spoken, not as much as we should, but definitely I haven't seen you in a while. Anken Ma'at to Hemnetter Ames. Anken Ma'at to you. He is still healing, but when I spoke to him last and he came on, he looked quite well. Anken Ma'at to one of the priests of the Shrine of Ma'at who is looking good. Anken Ma'at, I'm glad you know that he had a tumor removed from his nasal passage. It looks like the surgery went well. I know that he was on chemo and struggling a bit, but it looks like he's doing well, and I'm so pleased that you are doing well. Anken Ma'at to Septopia Black, coming to us from San Antonio, Texas. Abu Tashat said, I was about to text you about initiation. Yeah, I know. We have needed to do initiation for a long time, and we're trying to figure out when that will happen. So definitely, I will be reaching out to you very soon to figure that out as well. Anken Ma'at to Nima Ra, Anken Ma'at to Baron Germain, Anken Ma'at to Queen Emma Grace. Sinette Cortia says, I appreciate that the priestess is less than the priest, best use of priests, because they are not less than Dua. That's right, they are not less than. In fact, sometimes they are more than. Let's be clear about that. So I've always been really cautious about the use of priestess as opposed to priest, just because of that challenge that we have. And it's one that has happened because of the way that the world has looked at femininity in the traditions of the Jewish tradition, the Christian tradition, the Muslim tradition. Generally speaking, it seems that women are accorded a lower status in those traditions. I know that there are some people who will argue with me, but I think that those arguments are ridiculous. It is absolutely clear that they have a lower role. And that's because of the text, it's because of tradition, it's because of lots of things. In ancient Africa, it don't work like that. It does not work like that. What you see in Africa today with regard to some of the things that seem to be paternalistic, patriarchal, I would argue those things come after colonization. So let's be very clear about that. Do you know the large number of women who were in control of entire nations during Africa's ancient history? We are in the United States in the year 2026, and we still have not had a female head of state. Let's be really clear about that. So we should be clear about the role of women in ancient Africa and the challenge that we have in these modern traditions. Sinette Cortia continues. You spoke of Opet last session. I looked up that week I spoke. I was trying to explain to a person that all our carnivals are anciently related. Yes. I'm going to talk a bit more about that today. That's right. That's right. Anken Ma'at to, I think that's Sen James Lemba, I think. Did I just read a post? I'm about to really start jumping into social media again extensively. But did I just read a post that you lost your nephew? I believe that's what I read. I have to really say to you that we are asking for the Neteru to give you and your family divine solace in this difficult time. I know very well that this is a difficult time for you. And I really am asking that the Neteru guide you, that the ancestors surround you, that all of those challenges that come with the death of a young person are made a bit easier for you, as if easy is an appropriate adjective for such a difficult situation. But I'm hoping that you recognize that death does not destroy us, and that your nephew is able to reach out to you to let you know that he has arrived on the other side successfully. I truly hope that that is what happens for you and your family in such a challenging time. I'm really, really, my heart, my ob goes out to you. Mediaout TV says your President Donald Dumb is crazy. There's a lot that I would say. I just don't want to go into a large tangent on the President of the United States. But can I say to you that your comments are absolutely amplified by me? We have a real problem. We really do. Ankan Ma'at to Sinet Coach Ye from Farmington Hills, Michigan. I am behind on answering people. I just noticed that you reached out to me yesterday. Folks, I listen, I'm still trying to get it all together. But I believe you're reaching out to me because you're trying to put together a reunion this year. And I do want to be there. Please understand that I'm going to try to be there this year as best I can. And we should chat this week as well. Check your text and Tepi. I will do it. Ankan Ma'at to you and Dua Abu Sashat. I really appreciate you offering assistance because I'm going to need it. I'm going to need it. And I'll tell you about some of the other stuff going on in my life that is nothing bad, just complicated. That's all I can say. The challenging things, the things that you might call bad are behind me, but it's complicated. So I'll let you know what's going on. Ankan Ma'at to Sinet TA, who is always here. Ankan Ma'at to you. I should say T, because I know that's a reference to Queen T. Ankan Ma'at to you. Ankan Ma'at to Willanette, Luis Afuada Ma'at Robin. Ankan Ma'at to you. And you know that this dear Queen Efua Ma'ati is residing in Los Angeles, Atlanta, and Baltimore. I know you will be moving, and it's going to be rough. Yes, yes, yes. Please be good where you are. And I'm hoping that you are doing well with the movement. I know it seems like it's normal for you. It seems like a lot to me. Yeah, and you said time changes out of order. Man-made games, very dangerous. Yeah, this time I'm constantly confused whenever the time changes. A little bit less confused now because of the fact that so many of our devices are driven by universal clocks these days. So at least my cell phone doesn't confuse me. So definitely, I still haven't fixed my watch yet, which is supposed to change itself. Why isn't it changing itself? Anyway, this time change stuff is a little bizarre. Ankan Ma'at to First Kick Camden. Ankan Ma'at to you. Sen James, I'm really hoping that you are going to heal because I know that that's rough. Ankan Ma'at to Sen Curtis, one of our full and very active members, coming to us from Painesville, Ohio. How are you? How are you? As you know, I practice the Montu arts. Yes, I thought I remembered that you did. Yes, yes, yes. And those are the arts of the martial arts as described. And I'm pretty sure that in the ancient world, they would have used the martial arts as, they would have viewed Montu as the divine entity behind the martial arts. And as a practitioner, I would love to know more about what you're doing. I've seen you do that practice. I think I saw you do, man, this is probably a lot longer ago than I thought, but you were doing it not too long ago. I saw you at the Tekken, I believe, doing it. And yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. Ankan Ma'at to So Chosen. I know that is someone that I know, but the names always escape me because y'all got a bunch of handles. I'm pretty sure that's a full member of the shrine. Ankan Ma'at. Ankan Ma'at to Naba Sage Elmore, one of our full members. Haven't spoken to you in a while. How are you, dear brother? Ankan Ma'at to you. Ankan Ma'at to, I'm a very patient person. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being patient with me and my time these days. Sinet Coach Ye. Ankan Ma'at to Jed Kari and Ma'at. Ankan Ma'at to you. No, I think that is what you're greeting us with. Sa Jehuti, I believe, the protection of Jehuti. Ankin Ma'at to you, still residing in St. Louis, and Ankin Ma'at to Brian Campbell from Colorado. Ankin Ma'at to all of you. I really, really hope that you all are doing well, or as well as can be expected. I'm also hoping that one of our full members will come and do the opening of the way. You know that our shrine elder, who is now an ancestor, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Pata, used to tell us constantly that we should remember just how powerful we are. We should remember that the opening of the way, our primary ritual and ceremony, was one of the best ways for us to connect to the divine and remember that we are divine entities. And so we do as we have been taught. And I'm truly hoping that one of you will come in and do that. And I see that Sen Jehuti Mes Ma'at Hotep is coming in. You know that he does this for us regularly. All I can say to him is dua, dua, dua. It's always amazing to see him come in and do this for us. Ankin Ma'at to you. I'm so honored that you're here. Looking a little different with the tie this time. Look, the tie and listen, it don't matter how this brother is dressed, he gonna be smart. That's what you need to know. That's what you need to know. No. What did we say in old Harlem parlance? Cleaner than the Board of Health? I'm sure it's not just Harlem. That's probably what black people say, right? Right? Ankin Ma'at to you. It's good to see you.
Ankin Ma'at, Hemnetter and Tepi. I'm happy to be here. I was just mentoring a young guy who's trying to become a police officer early this morning. I just got home, so I just wanted to definitely tap in and be here with y'all.
Yeah, dua, 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 and dua for doing the work in the community and still coming in for Kemetic Ascension. We truly appreciate that you are doing so much where you are, and you still find time to be here. So can I say dua to you again, as usual, as usual.
I have to say dua to you. I have to say dua to you because I'm glad that I have a spiritual home to connect with, right? As you said, I'm the only Canadian member, hopefully not for long,
right,
of the shrine. And so you could be a bit isolated, but I'm very grateful that you've brought us together so that we can galvanize this divine spiritual energy together and as we serve the nature and the nature's creation together. So dua very much.
Dua to you, too. Yes, 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 yes. So you're going to lead us in the opening of the way. Please talk to us a little bit about the opening of the way to you and then lead us.
So yeah, brothers and sisters, Sen and Senu, and Senets. So yeah, we're gonna be doing the opening of the way ceremony today in the honor as put into its current iteration by Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samaj Se Pata, our divine ancestor. And this is not theater, so please stand if you're able. And if there's any other shrine members, full members of the shrine who want to come in and join and hit the StreamYard link and join us, we would, of course, would be honored to see you. So we're going to start off by standing. We're going to have our left foot put slightly forward and our right foot put slightly back. Okay. And then our hand is going to reflect the same thing with our left hand will be slightly forward, our right hand will be slightly back. I'll turn to the side so you can see. Okay. We're taught to do the opening of the way ceremony before we do anything of importance, and certainly your day is important. So it'll help to remind you, no matter what you're dealing with in life, in this physical plane of existence, that you are powerful and that your spiritual energy can transcend and go forth. And so it just reminds us of just how powerful you are, as Hemnetter and Tepi would say. We're going to start by by taking our a deep breath and chanting the divine word of everlasting life, which is Ankh. Take your breath. Oh. On the truck in bedheads.
On the truck in bedhead.
Nuke in bedheads.
Nuke in bedhead.
On the truck hoppy.
On the truck hoppy.
Nuke hoppy.
Nuke hoppy.
Tuau winter.
Winter.
Quarter turn to your right. On Nitrok Circuit.
On the truck circuit.
Nuke Circuit.
Nuke circuit.
On Nitrok Kebsenuf.
On the truck Kebsenuf.
Nuke Kebsenuf.
Nuke Kebsenuf.
Tuau Inter.
Low enter.
Quarter turn to your right. On Nitrok Offset.
On the truck offset.
Nuke Offset.
Nuke offset.
On Nitrok Omset.
On the truck onset.
Nuke Omset.
Nuke onset.
Tuau Inter.
Low enter.
Quarter turn to your right. On Nitrok Neats.
On the truck neat.
Nuke Neats.
Nuke neat.
On Nitrok Duamutef.
On the truck Wamutef.
Nuke Duamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Tuau Inter.
Low enter.
Quarter turn to your right. On Nitrok Newt.
On the truck newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke newt.
On Nitrok Geb.
On the truck geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke geb.
Tuau Inter.
Low enter.
On Nitrok Pautinteru.
On the truck potenteru.
Nuke Pautinteru.
Nuke potenteru.
On Nitrok Inbuinteru.
On the truck and buinteru.
Nuke Inbuinteru.
Nuke and buinteru.
Tuau Inter.
Low enter.
Oh. Tuau Inter.
Twa enter. Twa, twa, twa. Dwa so much for leading us so ably every Kemetic Ascension. Dwa, dwa, dwa. I'm so honored that you continue to do this. And it's wonderful, of course, that we are able to do this across the borders, right? I mean, you're north of us, and we're still able to have you come in and do it for us. Dwa, dwa, dwa. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate you.
It's my honor. There's nothing more important in my life than Ma'at, than what we do here. So Dua Nature. And thank you for leading
Wow.
us.
Dwa, 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 dwa. We will see you soon.
Yes, Nature willing.
All right, that you're willing. I am so honored that he always comes in to do that with us. And now I'm looking up at the screen and I'm seeing Senaton says, we'll be right across the lake this summer in Detroit, Sen. You should join us. Yes. He's not going to be, I know Ontario is large, but when you cross that bridge, I believe you're right in Ontario. So I would love to see you there. It'd be wonderful if you're able to join. And that would be amazing. It would absolutely be amazing for you to join the group for that. And hopefully I'll be there too, coming from New York. So let's see how it goes. And he responds, I'd love to be there. Let me know the date. Yes, 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 yes. Dwa, dwa, dwa. So with that, let me go ahead and, and I saw that Abutsa Shot says, looking like an alpha because I'm wearing, this is kind of, it looks kind of yellowish on camera. It is, well, I guess it's in between orange and yellow. So yeah, I get it. So hopefully you'll be able to see that I was trying. I didn't have my whites. Please don't ask me why I don't have my whites. I didn't have my whites last time, and I knew I was doing Kemetic Ascension from here. It wasn't until this morning I realized I still don't have my whites. What am I doing? This is what happens when you're doing all kinds of stuff at the same time. So yeah. Anyway, Ankh and Ma'at to you all, and Dwa once again to Jehudi Ma'at for coming in and assisting us. At this point in our gathering, you may know that we go into what we call Hessi. What is Hessi? Hessi is, what's the best way to describe this? Hessi is, in many ways, it is the way that our African ancestors in the Hopi Nile Valley region galvanized divine energy through song, through chanting, thousands of years before there was gospel. Thousands of years before there was gospel. I would argue that Africans have been doing this for so long, and it's the reason why, in many ways, church sessions of Africans, people of African descent who are still in the Christian church, it's the reason why it looks different than what you see, in European-based white churches just a few miles away from them. Why do those churches look so different? It's because, and I think that everyone understands that we do things in the way that speaks to our cultural experience, right? But I want you to understand that that cultural experience was not completely untethered from the history of culture from the continent of Africa. While we were not fully able to embrace our African culture as we were brought to the West against our will, that doesn't mean that we didn't create new things according to the way that our cultural sensibilities had them create themselves on the continent of Africa. That's the reason why church sounds different in the Black community than it does in the white community. That's why it sounds different, because we do how we do. And I want you to know that long before the term gospel was ever uttered, long before the name Yeshua or Jesus or whatever you want to call him was uttered, Africans were doing divine harmonic reverence. And we see it truly and beautifully described in ancient Cam. And so I want you to recognize, and in some ways that's what Hessi is. And I know that in sort of the new world sort of spirituality, affirmations became popular, chanting became popular, and you might think that that's new. It ain't new. We've been doing it for a long time, and that is what Hessi is. So today, one of the things that I want to do is I want to bring you Hessi. Oh boy, look at Mancho, Manwasha Idu is there, Ankh and Ma'at. Those are my dear fellow duly initiated family from the Shrine of Ptah. It is wonderful to see you all. I'm assuming that you're wonderful out there. I think you're in New Jersey. I'm hoping that you are doing well. It is wonderful to see you. Ankh and Ma'at to you, Ankh and Ma'at. Let me just say really quick, I missed some other people. Ankh and Ma'at. Oh, Glowlight says, what event are you speaking of? It will be announced shortly. Okay, I'm going to make sure that folks come on and announce their plans for another reunion of Shemsu Heru, but also open to other members of the shrine as well. I'm sure that even if you are not a member of the shrine, they would welcome you with really wide arms, because so many times for those gatherings, I'm sure family members of shrine members are there as well. So that's what we're referring to. It's going to occur this summer. More on that soon, okay? I see Jahim Ray, Ankh and Ma'at to you. I see, who else have I missed? I know I missed quite a bit. I'm trying to scan through quickly. Ankh and Ma'at to Derek E. Grant, Ankh and Ma'at to you. Senaton says, I would argue that only descendants of Africans have the biochemical tools needed to create music. Music seems to be inspired by something beyond us, nature almost. Without the connection to nature, it seems difficult to pull that inspiration from the unseen, but is literally a magical process. Well put, very well put, for the power of Hessi. I don't know if I would say that only descendants of Africans can do it. I do think that there are some people who resonate in the same spirit of our ancient African ancestors that are not African. But I'm gonna say to you, they are fewer and far between than they think, because we hear them and we're like, "Woo, boy, man, leave that to the melanated people around you." So yeah, I don't know if we're the only ones, but certainly it comes in great dose when we're talking about those descendants of ancient Africa who have found themselves in the modern world as, in some instances, the most subjugated people. We still maintained our connection to the divine source of the universe. Ankin Ma'at to Joanne, Jahi, Adisa, Ankin Ma'at. The nature of our people, it never disconnected. It comes out uniquely and distinctly involved. This is one Washa speaking in thought, speech, and action. Ankin Ma'at, and Manwasha, is what do they call it? A portmanteau now. I think that they have been going as Manwasha longer than we use that term liberally. It is that wonderful couple who created Akoma Day. That wonderful, wonderful couple with their beautiful family, Mancho and Nwasha. They're dear to my heart, and they will always be dear to my heart. So I really I love them. I murder them so much I can't even put into words. So chosen is Sinet Oye. I knew that was someone I knew well. I still don't get all of your handles, folks. But I said, "Ooh, I know So Chosen. Who is that again?" That's Sinet Oye. Sinet Oye has been an active member of the shrine since as long as I remember. I believe she's a member of the 42, the first 42 initiates of the shrine. I'm saying it in English because there's a bunch of newer folks I see here who may not know what I'm talking about here. We call them the Hem Senu. They're the first 42 initiates. I believe she's one of those members, if I remember correctly. Ankin Ma'at to you, dear Sinet. I cannot wait to see you back on HOK. Sonetta, we miss you, all of you over there. Yeah, Sonetta is probably upset with me because he's called me a few times and I have not found the time to get back there. Between my classes and moving, it's not just moving things into a space. This space obviously had to be transformed into a space that was acceptable for me and for my wife. So it's a lot. And we're almost there. We're pretty much almost there. My bonus daughter came and stayed this week. And that's a big deal because we surely would not have been comfortable with people staying here up until then. So it was wonderful seeing her there. And that my wife, you probably don't know that my wife came to our relationship with 4 children, 2 that she birthed herself and 2 others from her prior marriage. So I have bonus kids now, even though I'm looking for biological children as well. So there's a lot going on, you should know. Boots a shot saying she give me cheat codes. Oh, she's Rakas Shen. Yeah, and a Boots a shot's beating me up because I haven't spoken to her about initiation. There's nothing nothing firm yet. That's the reason why I haven't reached out. Because honestly, she deserves to beat me up, by the way, because she's offered to help for more than a year, and I haven't been communicating. I'm just outing myself right now to a Boots a shot. And I should just say to you that yes, Sinet Oye and I are Rakas Shen. Yes, good. Dwa, 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 dwa. And Boots a shot was saying that as well. Let me say to you that it isn't in firm. We haven't decided anything firmly yet, and the we would include you, Boots a shot. So I, instead of giving you another false start, I was waiting to know exactly when my schedule will accommodate it, and then I'll reach out to you. That's what I was thinking. But definitely, we need to chat anyway. I need to just chat and see how you're doing. So if you get a call, know that it won't just be for business. You'll get a call soon just to see how you're doing. So, and I wasn't checking. No, there's a lot going on here for me to check my phone too, for those of you who are texting me. I can't wait to see this mini hem netter and teppies. Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. When it actually is more firm, I'll let you know that too. So I'm working on that too. Ankan Ma'at to Anjai, Brian, Ankan Ma'at to you. I'm really, really honored to see you. He's always here. Ankan Ma'at to you, my dear brother coming to me from New Jersey. Ankan Ma'at to you, Ankan Ma'at. I would love for you and two to have another conversation. I will always learn when you two build. Ankan Ma'at, I'm going to mess up your name. And it's certainly not intentional. Ariasimus. I think I'm trying to say it correctly. Ankan Ma'at to you. I hope that I've said it close enough. Yeah, I think that Tahuti and I need to do more builds than debates, but our discussion started as debating, and so that is something we need to get out of rather than just fighting with each other intellectually. So yeah, I agree. I would love to talk to him more. Ankan Ma'at to Hemnetter Jamar, who was here. Ankan Ma'at to you, holding down Strong Island. How are you? I hope you are doing well. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, and Sinet Oye says, yes, we are, and Juti Ma'at Ra is as well. Yes. I have already Abut Sashad is going to remember the different groups better than I will because she played such a large role in helping folks come in. So she'll remember that off the top of her head. That's why she's trying to give me cheat codes, because she would remember that. She really would. And I am so honored that she's come to try to help me sound like I have some sense, even though I'm doing 8 things at the same time and it still comes out just as it comes out of my addled memory. So anyway, let me go ahead. Let's do what we're supposed to do now. We are supposed to go into Hessi, and instead of hearing me sing, which would not be a way that you might want to start your wonderful week, I think that we should go back to a Hessi that was done with Baba Heru and Queen Afua. You know that this comes from the wonderful recording they did called The Indwelling Healer. The Indwelling Healer. It was absolutely magnificent. It's done so long ago that I believe that it was originally done on cassette tape. That's how old it was. Done on cassette tape. That's how it was sold. Can you imagine? And thankfully, Baba asked me to digitize it years ago, and so I have it. And you may have remember, if you've been with us for a while, you may remember that it is where we hear the Kumra Hessi. And for so many years, Baba believed I knew the Kumra Hessi. I think I was with him so much that he assumed I had been there longer than I had been. So we would be together with people and he would say, come, let's do the Kumra Hessi. And he would just do it. And I remember Anika and I would just kind of like come along because we didn't know how it went. And I would always say, Baba, you have to teach it to me. At the end, he'd go, oh, you know it already. And I go, no, I don't, Baba. You didn't teach us that in our initiation. He said, I gave you a manual of Hessi. I said, Baba, I didn't get no manual of Hessi. So it was very funny that would happen all the time. It wasn't until he asked me to digitize this Hessi that you will hear spoken by Queen Afua, backed up by Baba Heru, that I finally learned the Kumra Hessi. And it was amazing. So you're seeing a wonderful image here of Baba. I miss him so. Even though I know he is a divine elemental force now, he is one of the ancestors who have gone to the other realm. I still miss spending time with him and eating with him and laughing with him and arguing with him. He and I used to argue a lot when we were together. Good arguments, like debates on stuff. It was just amazing. And you see Queen Afua there. This is quite some time ago. This has got to be maybe around 1999 this picture was taken. You see them there with Erykah Badu. This is in front of the Heal Thyself, Know Thyself Center that was in Brooklyn. This is some time ago. And I just have to say to you that it was a magnificent day when they all came together. And you're going to hear Queen Afua go through the Kumra Hessi. So please take a listen. You're hearing exactly as it has been transferred from cassette tape.
The mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. The mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. Kumra, kumra, kumberura, kumberura, kumra, kumberura, kumberura, Oh, eternal creator, with your numerous beautiful attributes, such as Nid, the healer, Serket, vital power, Antum, unlimited potential, Het Haru, divine love, and Haru the falcon, the victor, Toi in turn, for granting one and all our life, strength, and health. You are the mountain, the air, ocean, the sun god. You are all things good and glorious. You are the light and comforter, the healer, the greatness that dwells in you dwells within me. For you have made me into the likeness and image of you. Therefore, I too am a healer. With your continued light and guidance, may I be awakened to the divinity of the indwelling healer. Opet, I am Queen Afua, an ancient African Nile Valley priestess and healer from the sacred house of Kemetic. I have the privilege to be accompanied by 3 wise men. First, my spiritual teacher, guide, and mate, Senor Haru Ankvar Samad Sekatar, from the Shrine of Ptah. Second, Grand Master Khan, from Oasis at Sunrise, from the Shrine of Kepara, on percussion. Visited by third, Garaji, on zither. Together we welcome you unto the indwelling healer. My reason for being is to help the spiritual seeker to restore and purify the body temple to a natural state of wholeness in body, Khat, mind, Ab, the soul, Ka, with the use of ancient African non-violent spiritual tools for divinity. I am the carrier of the sacred Anki, for which represents eternal life, granted to me through the shrine of Ptah. I also carry the Ma'at feather for truth, justice, righteousness, and balance. I carry the Kemetic medicine bag and the Kemetic sacred spiritual bowl for purification. All symbols for the healing of the African nation and for bringing forth world peace and wellness. Throughout this tape, you will hear the most ancient language uttered upon this earth that is said to be a dead language, but on the contrary, it's very much alive. And this is called the Meter, meaning the language of intercreation. I give all honor and glory to the One Most High, for it is the love of Inter that is the driving force and inspiration, that has me to pass and be on this spiritual path. The indwelling healer offers a special dedication to the intern of Kemetic, the doctor known as Abu Sanu, which means the pure ones have the intern Kemetic. Kemetic was a lion-headed intern who was thought to aid her priest to drive out the demons that caused disease. Doctors were trained in their temples. In fact, the ancient Kemetic, Egyptian medical services were centered on temples throughout the land. For African medicine was born up of a people's spiritual ascension.
Isn't that beautiful? I just think that it was amazing. I'm surprised it just ended like that, but I just, there's more there. It's based on how I transitioned here. It is just magnificent, and I love it. I admire it. I have enjoyed listening to it ever since I digitized it. I just put it on sometimes when I'm doing something, the indwelling healer, where you hear them do the Kumra Hessi, and you should know it's Kumra, Kumra, Kumherura, Kumheru, Heru, Ra, Ra, Kumra, Ra, 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 Kumherura, Kumheru, Heru, Ra, Ra, Kumra, Kumra, Kumherura, Kumheru, Heru, Ra, Ra, Kumra, Ra, 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 Kumherura, Kumheru, Heru, Ra, Ra. It is a kind of utterance that can allow you to go into a meditative state while you are chanting it. It is such a wonderful Hessi. And they've taken some liberty with the use of the Kemetic language, but generally speaking, the way that it is translated is the mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. And so I want you to learn it. It is just magnificent. And you have a benefit I did not have. Obviously, all of these Kemetic Ascensions are saved on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page. You can always go back and listen to it. When I was supposed to be learning it, people were just singing and then they would stop and do something else. So it took a little bit longer for me to be able to learn how to do it. And so please, this is one of those oldies but goodies. I believe that Baba had been doing the Kumra Hessi probably since the early to mid 70s, I believe. So it is one of those old Shranapata Hessis that we have to continue to use. We have to continue to access. We have to continue to use Hessi as one of those tools in our spiritual toolbox that will keep us in divine balance. So with that, I want to go into what we often call here at for Kemetic Ascension, the word from the Sebayit. And in some ways, this is a continuation of some of the conversation that we had last Kemetic Ascension, where we talked about the Kemetic origins of Ash Wednesday. I wanted to come back and talk to you a little bit more about how we actually see other parts of this most sacred calendar event come from Kemet. Obviously, you know that Ash Wednesday comes after, it is the beginning of Lent, and it comes after, in the modern world, we often have Carnival and all of those other really solemn celebrations in Christianity. But I want to argue to you that Carnival itself is also Kemetic, and that what we are seeing is an echo of some very, very critically important traditions that occurred in the Hopi Nile Valley thousands of years before we see them, with all due respect, poorly replicated in the modern world. So today I want to talk a bit about the joyous Kemetic Temple Festival. and how we see it translated, how we see this echo that occurs in carnival and the like. As you're looking here, you're seeing an image of, I believe that this is definitely the temple that is today known as Karnak Temple. We're looking at the heavens, and you see these temple ladies singing, playing instruments, clapping, and dancing. This would have been part of these temple festivals. And just think about how important the Kemetic temple was to Kemetic culture, to Kemetic philosophy, to Kemetic medicine and health. It is an unparalleled institution. As you look here, you are seeing one of the most, I'd say, beautiful temples in the world. This temple, well, let me ask you first what this temple is known as. Before I just simply speak to myself, let me ask you, what are we looking at here? What is this image? Where does it come from? What is it known as? What is it correct? What's its correct name? Please answer so that we are able to continue. And let me just go ahead and say, Ankh and Ma'at, there are a bunch of folks who've come in since I was speaking and did not see them. Ankh and Ma'at to that dear brother, Cosmic Sankofa, very intelligent, articulate, studied brother. He is, whenever he does a presentation on Sonnetter, I think our community is always the better for it. Really, really astute brother that the ancestors are smiling upon. I see 2024. Is that 24? Saying, where have I been? I've been here, but I have not had a large social media footprint. And so hopefully you'll see me a bit more in the near future. I see that dear Queen Marjorie Janiver, the mother of the Jati of Phoenix. Ankh and Ma'at to you. I know that you are an important person in the life of our dear brother, which means you're important to us. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at to DZ Ankh. I'm late, but I'm here. The weather on top of me bad. Really? What's going on? Where are you again, DZ Ankh? Is it bad over there? Ankh and Ma'at to Robert Bunag, who is always here with his girlfriend from Daly City and Los Altos. How are you, dear brother? It's good to see you. Ankh and Ma'at to Spencer Davis, coming to us from North Carolina, even though he's a New Yorker like myself. Doing a Hessi live with you was a divine experience in the shrine. Dwa, dwa, dwa. Yes, we did do that together, did we not? Send to Hudi Forever. It was amazing to be able to do it together. It was amazing, amazing. And let's get to an answer. We see that Sen Atan says that this space was called Abu Simbel. We also see Tasseti, but they're saying, what is the correct name? And they're not finding the correct. Oh, there it is. Senatan said is Ramesses Mary Amun. Yes, that is the name of that temple. That's what it is named. Ramesses Mary Amun. Ramses, beloved of Amun, is the name of that temple. Let me just say to you, we have Thur Ankion, I'm messing up your name. Ankin Ma'at to you. Dezion says he's in Buffalo. He's sick. That's right. You're in Buffalo. I remember you're in Buffalo. The weather is up and down, cold and warm. Yeah, that'll do it to you. That'll make you ill when you're doing that too. It's crazy. It really is crazy. I hope you feel better soon, dear brother. I really do. Ankin Ma'at to Kamisha, who is Sen Gavin. Need to get you in the DMV. Let's make it happen. Ankin Ma'at to you. I'm going to be confirming this soon, but I may be coming to the DMV next month for the 50th celebration of the Cornell Black Alumni Association. I'm going to let you know when I'm coming, because definitely when I'm coming, I want to be able to see you. So let's talk. So I'll let you know as soon as I know the date. I should have already known the date, but I've been very busy. I'll let you know so that hopefully we can link up when I'm there as well. I see Sakinara says it was also moved due to the Hapi in the 1900s. Yes, this temple that you are seeing is a temple that was built under the auspices of Ramses the Great, who you may know was a very powerful new kingdom Nesutbit, or king. His throne name was Usur Ma'at Ra Setepen Ra, Usur Ma'at Ra Setepen Ra. And this temple, as beautiful as it is, you can see that it has been damaged. It's believed that the second of those four figures actually collapsed during an earthquake in the ancient world. And the temple, yes, Akinara, you are correct, it was moved up a hill because the modern Egyptian government wanted to flood the area so that they would be able to properly electrify Kemet. How would they flood it? They would actually prevent this space, the Hapi from this region, from flooding anymore. Remember, the Hapi used to flood every year, and this is what brought that thick, rich soil down from the interior of Africa into Kemet, and it also allowed them to have the water necessary to live and to create and to grow crops. It was critically important, the flooding of the Hapi. In the modern world, the modern Egyptian government stopped the flooding of the Hapi. They now capture all the water here, and it is used in an electromagnetic manner so that they're able to electrify Kemet. And Taseti says there are actually two temples. Yes, about, I would say, it's about the length of a city block away. There is the temple that was also consecrated to his wife, Queen Nefertari, and it is very close to this temple. There are two temples, and they were both moved up the hill. You should know that in the time that Europeans came and pilfered these great monuments, Italian strongman, circus strongman, really, and plunderer came. His name was Giovanni Belzoni. And when he made his long journey to see this temple, he looked at it with these magnificently large statues of Ramses, and he thought it would be funny to name this temple after a tiny person, a little person in his entourage. That person's name was Abu Simbel. How in the world can we allow people to still call this Abu Simbel when it already has a divine name is beyond me. The temple's name is Ramesses Mary Amun, Ramses, beloved of Amun. I could speak about this longer. We don't have that kind of time. Let's talk more about the temple festival so that we're able to understand its deeper meaning. As you look at this temple, I just want you to now look at this again. This is the colonnade area in the temple known as the Temple of Karnak. It is amazing. It is amazing. And you certainly feel small when you are walking in there. You are, in fact, in a primordial forest at the very moment that all of creation has come into existence. It is an amazing, amazing space. And we'll talk more about the Kemetic temple and its meaning to Kemetic spirituality, philosophy, how the design of the temple helps us understand how our Kemetic ancestors viewed the place of humanity in the entire universe and our connection to the divine. That is the greater meaning of the temple, and we aren't going to talk about that extensively today. That's another conversation. But I want you to take a look at how magnificent this space is, how awe-inspiring this space is. They are amazing. And now you're seeing that temple known as the Temple of Luxor. It is the sister temple to the Temple of Karnak. The Temple of Karnak was called Opet Isut, and the Temple of Karnak of Luxor was known as the temple Opet Risiet, and they were sibling shrines. Here you're also seeing what is today known as the Avenue of the Sphinxes. Of course, you should know that the word Sphinx is not an ancient Kemetic word. When the Greeks got here and they looked at this space, they thought that this space, when they looked at these statues that they called the Sphinx, they made up this fanciful idea that if it asked you three important questions, and you got them wrong, it would rise to his feet and snuff out your life. It would strangle you to death. That is not the deeper Kemetic teaching here. But that is where they came up with the word Sphinx. Sphinx comes from the Greek phrase that means strangler. This is not the way that that should be rendered. Please understand that this avenue went all the way from Opet Risiet, today known as Luxor, all the way to Opet Esut, known as Karnak. They're about 2.5 miles apart, and this avenue of these beautiful beings were here. Some of you might look at this and say, well, I don't know, Hamnetter. This doesn't look like the way that the Heru M. Akhet, that's the better name than using the old Greek confused word Sphinx for these. It looks different. That looks like a ram. Yes, because these are consecrated to a moon, and a moon is often depicted as a ram. So these are ram-headed Heru M. Akhet statues. Heru M. Akhet was is the name that means Heru on the horizon. That means Heru coming out of darkness into the light. And so understand that you are seeing a moon-based Heru M. Akhet. You're not going to hear me say ram-headed sphinxes. That is a lower vibrational term. But this setting is here for higher vibration. Okay. Let's go. Oh, Sen Tahuti Forever says, when Sen asked for another build with Tahuti, I wasn't sure if he was referring to the builds you and I created. Nonetheless, we should create another build. I agree that we should create another build. He may actually be talking about, if he was talking about the builds that you and I do, we should do that. I agree. Agreed. I assumed he was talking about the Tahuti that I've more recently had some tussles with on Sonnetter. But definitely I would love for us to continue to do that. Yes, I would. So let's continue. As you look at these spaces and you look at this space, this is also a part of the temple of Opet Esut, known as Karnak Temple. And you're seeing the Great Lake area. This area would have been the place where priests and others would have come for divine purification. And also understand that this lake is fed by underground channels with water from the Hapi. This is ancient. Nobody is coming here and refilling this. This is something that those who were able to build this magnificent space were able to understand. And they created this area for divine purification. It is magnificent. And you should also recognize that it is where I believe those people who designed Washington, D.C. got their inspiration for the wading pool that sits quite close to the Washington Monument. When you look at it this way, you recognize that those people who were designing the United States were trying to recreate what your African ancestors brought into the world in excellence thousands of years earlier. They would like to subjugate you and your recent ancestors and then assume the role, usurp the role, take the role of the African ancestor in the modern world. That is what they sought to do. But I ask you, beloved, will you allow them to do that? Or will you adhere to the call of higher consciousness and continue your study, continue your purification, continue your work, so that we can sit on the shoulders of our African ancestors once more. Here you're seeing the entrance of a wonderful temple that is consecrated to Heru. It is magnificent. And the reason why I'm showing this to you is because the last image, not the last one, but this one shows you the main Sebket. The Greeks call this space a pylon. The main entrance gate of the New Kingdom Temple was a magnificent space. None of them are entirely intact after foreigners came to try to destroy our great sacred spaces. But you're looking at this great temple here, the temple entrance that our Kemetic ancestors called the Sebket, that the Greeks called the pylon. It is fragmentary here. As you go forward, you see one that is almost intact here in this temple known as the Temple of Buto. And so this is quite magnificent. It gives you a sense of how awe-inspiring even just the entryway was. I see a few other questions. Snet Corsia says, is this so, the Washington grounds? Are you talking about the design of Washington, D.C.? Yes, they looked at the ancient Kemet and tried to replicate some of those things that ancient Africans brought to the world in excellence. They attempted to replicate them in the modern world. And yes, Black Magic Mike, Washington, who had put forward all of those things necessary for that ground to be created as Washington, D.C. He called it Egypt on the Potomac. It was not called Washington, D.C., Washington District of Columbia during his time. He called it Egypt on the Potomac. To be very clear, they were replicating ancient Kemet here in the United States. And so I want to talk briefly about how Carnival becomes this modern celebration that is really something that is amazing in cultures all around the world. It is uniquely connected to Christianity, even though some people may forget that that is what some of these adherents are celebrating. They're celebrating right before the solemn period that we know as Lent. But where does it come from? Is it actually Christian? Is it actually Western? The picture on the left is of an image that comes from New Orleans. You can see this one here with this large Tom Who clown or gesture on this large float. And you can actually see as we close up that there's so many people on the float with them. And many of those people, you know it's New Orleans, are people of African descent. Are they aware of the origins of this tradition? Are they aware? I doubt it. And then we come here and we see these sisters. This is right in Brooklyn, you should know. This is in the BK. This is what in the United States, this is the United States version of Carnival. What is that known as? It is actually known as the West Indian Day Parade. The West Indian Day Parade. So understand that as we look at this, we see that these celebrations, even though this one doesn't occur at the same time as Carnival in other parts of the world, this is meant to be the United States version, the New York version of Carnival. And I want you to know that all of this comes from Kemet. How do we see that? How do we recognize that what we are seeing is an older Kemetic celebration, and that what we see now today is actually a poor copy? When you hear me say echo, I want you to recognize that when you hear a voice echoed, that voice is often not exactly as clear as the original utterance from a voice, right? When you hear an echo, the actual sound itself is mangled. It's harder to understand what is being said. And in many ways, what we see in the modern world is an echo of what your African ancestors did in the ancient world. So what is the original version of these celebrations? It was known as the Opet festival. Here you are seeing an image. This is from the temple known as Karnak. And you'll actually see that these priests are walking. What do I mean, priests? Let me zoom in a little bit so you know what I'm seeing. So you know what I'm referring to. As you look closely, you're going to see that there are some individuals that look like Heru. Well, I want you to know that it is believed that they are wearing masks that look like Heru. And on top of them, they are walking with a boat. Can you see that there's a boat above them that has the head of a moon on it? Can you see that? Well, this is a large procession. The Opet festival in the 18th dynasty in the New Kingdom was a festival in which we saw these priests of Karnak Temple, of Opet Isut, travel with this solar boat, the boat that is connected to a moon, from the Holy of Holies in the temple. They would take it first on land and walk it all the way across to the temple that was its sister temple, which we know today as the Temple of Luxor, or Opet Resiet. And then they would bring it back later. At first, the ceremony was about 12 days long, and then in the end, it ended up being nearly 24 days long. What would actually happen is that you would see this bark then float back to Karnak during the flood period, during the Aket season in ancient Kemet. And so part of the journey was on land and part of the journey was on boat. And this sacred ceremony was always attended to by the king, because the king argued that this is where he was able to what's the best way to describe this? To receive the regenerative energy of the Neteru so that he could lead the kingdom. The Karnak festival itself is a festival where we see Amun. This is the triad or the trinity of the New Kingdom. We see Amun as the male, the male power, Mut as the female energy, and through their divine sacred intercourse, their divine sexual union, we would see the birth of Kansu, the child. And so all of this was meant to bring these energies back into our physical world in its strongest and most powerful and most potential form. Ankh Ma'at, I see that our dear brother, the priest, Asar M. Ka, has entered, another wonderful brother that I get the chance to speak to on Sonnetter on many occasions. Very powerful, very wise priest who does incredible study. Whenever he opens his mouth, I am also a student. I think that we work well together too. So I'm really, really pleased that he is here. He has helped me with the word I was looking for, regenerate. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. It helps it's the regenerative ceremony so that the leader of the nation is able to assume, to collect this energy of the universe so that he can properly guide the nation. And so we used to, in those days, you would see the king. I believe this king here is Seti the First. I believe this is the father of Ramses the Great. I think that's who this is. I'm not taking the time to read the Shen. The Shen looks like it's of his son, though. It looks like Usur Ma'at Ra Satepen Ra there. but I believe this is Sen. And you should know that, Seti, I mean, and you should know that this is a very important aspect, a very important dominant portion of the Kemetic year. It seems that this celebration, as described in the temples, is well placed in the New Kingdom, but the scholarship says that we know that it goes back to at least the Middle Kingdom. At least the Middle Kingdom. And so this is a very, very ancient festival, and it goes into the Western world and then becomes the Carnival Festival. You may wonder why, when we see these processions going down the street, we see them on these large trucks. They're essentially 18-wheelers, festooned with decorations and floral arrangements and people around them. They are always these days on wheels. They're always being driven down. As you look at the one that I showed you before, I know there's a lot going on, but can you see that this particular float is being driven? Look at that person of African descent, I believe, gotta be, down there holding the wheel. Do you see this person here? Maybe you can see my mouse moving. He's driving this down the street, and people are on the sides in this celebration. That's what's happening. We call these floats. Why? Aren't they driving? Well, that term is once again part of the echo. It reminds us that this ceremony, in its original form, always took place partially on water. And a major part of these large celebrations were these decorated items that were done on boat. So you can see there's a boat. They're carrying a boat. First, they walk it to one temple, and then they float it back to the other temple. And it is a solar bark, a solar boat. That's how the term float comes into the modern world. This is fascinating to me, that there's so much African influence in the modern day that has been forgotten, that has been misfiled, so that these celebrations include a large number of people of African descent, and they don't even remember that they're the ones that brought this into the world in excellence. Fascinating to me. Fascinating. Here's an article. This is a scholarly article from UCLA's Encyclopedia of Egyptology on the Opet Festival. It was written, I believe it was published in 2010 by a scholar named John Coleman Darnell. And this is how he tries to help us understand that the festival isn't even a New Kingdom festival. Listen to what he says on, I believe this is page 6. It says, although the earliest attestations of the festival and the earliest surviving 18th dynasty constructions at Luxor date to the reign of Hatshepsut, I want to go around these quotes. Wow, that's a long one. He basically says, for Archirave fragments of Sobek Hotep I, possibly from Karnak, reused the statue bases from Luxor. He continues, one expects, here's the after his parenthetical statement. So let's go back so it don't get confused. Although the earliest attestation of the festival and the earliest surviving 18th dynasty constructions at Luxor date to the reign of Hatshepsut, one expects an ultimate 11th dynasty origin. As for the three other major nodes of the Theban, by the way, Thebes is what the Greeks called, what today we call Luxor, coming from the Arabic term al-Uqsor, which means of the palaces. The Greeks came to that city and called it Thebes, but our original name for the city was Waset, the seat of dominion. So he says, as for the three other major nodes of the Theban festival cycle, a platform in the area of the ninth pylon at Karnak may date to the reign of Senusret I, that's the Middle Kingdom, suggesting the presence of a processional route leading south from Karnak along the route of the later north-south axis, presumably connecting Middle Kingdom Karnak with a contemporaneous structure at or near the later Luxor temple. Understand that this scholar is arguing that at the very least, we should know that this celebration goes back to the Middle Kingdom. Goes back to the Middle Kingdom. This is very, very ancient. I want you to understand that the things that you have forgotten, beloved, are greater than the things that the Talmud says he created. You have forgotten more than they have done in the modern world. The Middle Kingdom is from somewhere around 2000 BCE to the 18th century BCE. So we're talking about something that's more than 4,000 years old. Long predates Jesus, long predates Yeshua, long predates Judaism, and definitely by extension, it long predates Islam. Understand that you were doing these amazing things before these other people had first opened their eyes. And then later, as these celebrations went into the Western world, we see a similar festival being celebrated in Rome, being celebrated in Italy during the Roman period that is called Navigium Isidis, or the celebration of the navigation of Isis. Of course, we called that deity by her original name, Ast, which could also be rendered Osset. Can you see that even in this painting, you are seeing some very light-skinned dancers, very light-skinned priests in Kemetic garb walking in Italy? This Roman festival is even an echo of what you did before there was a Rome. But this is how it goes into the modern world. So during the Greco-Roman period, this celebration goes into the West. You should also know that even after the Kemetic tradition was extinguished by early Christianity, the Navigium Isidis, I believe, goes to at least the 4th century or the 5th century of the Common Era. It might have gone all the way to the 600s of the Common Era. So those people who were practitioners of Christianity were well aware of it. It was occurring in one of the early centers of Christianity. I know that sometimes when I talk about these things, those people who have not been studying this information at all would say, are you saying that the early Christians read the Medunetter? They did not need to read the language. The ceremonies, the grand dramas were actually occurring in spaces where they were. Most Kemetic people during the time that Kemet was a powerful nation could not read. No more than 5% of the people could read. Are you arguing that they were unfamiliar with their ceremonies as well? Or did they have to read it in order to understand what they were seeing and experiencing? That is how it goes into the world. And the Navigium Isidis becomes Charis Navalis. Charis Navalis is likely the origin of the very term carnival. Some people will say, no, it comes from carne lavare, which means leave out the meat. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Do you think that I am that stupid not to recognize that this festival, which, by the way, in the Roman world began on March 8th, today is March 8th, is not the origin of the festivals that we see later, where we see these people standing on the side, looking at these amazing processions. By the way, the ceremony in ancient Kemet also included large amounts of drinking of beer and wine. The people were known to stand on the banks of the river and watch the procession go by. If the deity in the bark tilted left or right, they would ask questions, and the left or right tilt was supposed to give them a sense of the Neteru trying to answer their questions, and they would be imbibing extensively. This is what this is. It is the origin of the ceremony known as Carnival, the celebration known as Carnival. And of course, we know that the end of that celebration, which occurs on, I believe it occurs on Tuesday, is Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras in New Orleans. And this means that we are seeing the same exact thing. African, you have forgotten more than the youngest humans on the planet can pretend that they have created. And it is Africans who find themselves most comfortable with Carnival today. When you go to Carnival, listen, I know people go to carnivals in multiple countries. They say the Trinidadian Carnival has been the most amazing of all of the celebrations. But understand that Africans, modern Africans, are so comfortable with this because it seems familiar. That these celebrations are our celebrations. That's what's happening. My understanding is that there's an incredible celebration amongst people from the Caribbean in Toronto every year. I know that because I know people who have gone. I know how excited people get to go to the West Indian Day Parade, which its time of year has been misplaced. But this was a great celebration that first occurred in Harlem, now occurs down Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn, where the largest Caribbean population is. Understand that we love it so much because we've been doing it since before Christianity, since before Judaism. We've just forgotten that we are the creators. The Opet festival becomes Navagium Isidis, becomes Carus Navalis, becomes Carnival. I showed you last Kemetic Ascension where many earlier Christian scholars were saying that Lent is not something that is Christian, that it was first shown to the world as a celebration of Asar, and that there were Christians that were upset that other Christians were practicing it. Understand that this is a testimony to just how influential you have been, African. In West Africa, they say, go back and fetch it. That in order to move powerfully through your present and your future, you must remember your past. This is what we must do. As we see these celebrations today, celebrations that we are not given credit for, we must remember that there is nothing new under the sun. We must remember that it is those Africans who brought it into the light of day. And that these Europeans who fancy themselves as the most powerful, as the most intelligent, as the most beautiful, as the wealthiest, as the best resource people on the planet are only that today because they are borrowing heavily from that which you created, which you have now forgotten. Go back and fetch it. Your greater connection to these principles will empower you much more than those who are, let's be frank, imposters. I ask you, African, to see yourselves clearly once more, to recognize those things which you brought to the world in excellence. I'm truly hoping that you will do those things that we must do in order to become once more the most intelligent, the most resourced, the most attractive, the most spiritually connected people in the world once again. So it is really important for us to see these things clearly once more. There are a bunch of comments that I did not see as I'm closing. Let's see, what did I miss? Senaton says, oh, Prentice of Bobby Herod, Ankin Ma'at to you. Good to see that you're here. Exactly, Jabari. Those are the ones who don't know what they're talking about and just want to argue for argument's sakes, the naysayers. Yeah, I know what you're referring to. That's absolutely true. And it's a little tiring sometimes. Senaton says, this is further proof that reality can only be realized through the lens of African culture. I truly believe that once we embrace African culture and the manner in which we have reiterated African culture in the West, we are going to be much more powerful for it. And the world will be in better stead for it as well. Senkli, Ankin Ma'at to you. I didn't see you come in. Says, most of the islands have the celebrations. Also, there's crop over in Barbados. Yes, all throughout the Caribbean, we see these celebrations. Auntie Inner says, radiant afternoon, all divine ones. Ankin Ma'at to you. I hope you're doing well. Black Magic Mike says, is it me or why do we have to justify or legitimize African practices through Christian frameworks? Can we just embrace that what is African as African? I hope that we'll be able to, but in order to do that, we're going to have to go back and do the research, because the reality is we've forgotten what we've done. We've forgotten it. As someone who travels on the continent of Africa, many Africans have forgotten what we've done. So we have to do the research once more. And this is of critical importance. Sinette Cortia says, no, Taifing Ntepi Jabari. What? I'm not sure what you were saying. I know you're trying to say something. I'm not getting it. Thanks, Roy, for another enlightening teaching from Sinette. Naima Ra, Ankin Ma'at to you. When do we get to meet your queen? Ron Green says, soon you will. Especially when we meet in person, she'll be there as well. Thieving, yes, thieving, Sinette Cortia. That's right, they teef it. That's what she's saying. They teef it. That's what we say. Yes, they teef it. They teef so much. Jost Jad, I know I'm messing up your name, says, it's Jost Jad. I listen, I'm trying here, okay? Duan for this great discussion. I've been looking for a link between Carnival and ancient Kemet. Oh, that's not neat, neat Hotep. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at. I just want you to understand that they are that these folks who are in control of the Western world, who are the most powerful people in the world, are only powerful because they're using 1/10 of what you brought to the world in excellence. And if you go back and take the 100%, no one can stop us. That is what I'm trying to say. But we have to do the research. We have to understand that they've created nothing. And that is of critical importance. With that, let me say the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. And I say to you, Amasuan Panter, Sauksumit Ran Panter, Auto Aura Maketi Pahirua. Keep yourself daily for the divine. and do it tomorrow just as you did it today. Please, I want you to remember that as we are coming into an understanding of who we are, we must once again return to the source. I'm hoping that the rest of your day is amazing, that you'll be able to share these things with people so they're able to understand exactly who the African is and what it means effectively to be a descendant of those from the continent of Africa. With that, let me say the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. Have an amazing day, and I will see you soon. Shemin Ma'at, go forth in divine balance.